Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal. We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom.
We share struggles, we brainstorm solutions.
And we would love to have you join us.
Welcome to another episode of Chaotic Harmony, episode 94 in the year of our Lord 2024, July 10th. It's Carl Orff's birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you. Right? Happy birthday
Carl
to you.
Orff.
Oh, Carl Orff. Should we say that? Happy birthday, Carl Orff. Happy birthday, Carl Orff. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday, Carl Orff. Happy birthday, Carl Orff. Happy birthday. Anybody?
Well, I don't know
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, baby.
Welcome to round of the week, pre-round of the week. But yes.
We won't keep going
It's all
along
good.
this line. Hi, I'm Crystal. That's Jonathan.
I'm John. And we have two special guests. We have, hello, Betsy.
Hi, I'm Betsy.
Hi, Betsy.
Hi.
And we also have Joshua Block. Hi, Joshua.
How's it going?
Awesome. It's a special situation because, and the reason why we have these two lovely people is because in San Diego, we're having our Orff levels, which you can also sign up for next year. Just heads up. Just plug it up. But yeah, so, Joshua,
It's our podcast. We can do whatever we want.
We can do what we want.
Yeah.
Almost anything.
Sponsored by San Diego Orff Levels.
We don't sponsor much money, but we sponsor.
Yeah. I haven't seen that check yet, so.
It's been really cool because Joshua has been with us since at least, I don't know if there's been levels before 2017. Do you know if there has been?
Oh, there were. Yeah, but
Okay.
it was back.
Back.
Yes,
Back.
in the
So-
early aughts, I believe.
So, to my knowledge, this because it's our podcast. To my knowledge, Joshua is the only person that's ever taught us. So, hi, Dave. But no, Joshua has been teaching with us since 2017, and since then, and Betsy joined us last year.
I did.
Yeah. First off, how has Orff levels been this year?
It's been an adventure.
We've had a few challenges, but it's
Do tell.
day 8 and we're going strong. So
Woo!
we originally wanted to have 2 levels, a level 1 and a level 2. We didn't get the numbers for the 1s. We just barely got the number for the 2s. And then what happened?
Monday afternoon, day 1, we get a text.
Sorry.
Somebody tested positive for COVID.
Sorry if I exposed you all, but I'm out.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So we've been doing Orff Levels outside.
Yeah.
Which has been lovely in Chula Vista. We couldn't do it anywhere else, but we've been...
In July.
In July. We could not do it anywhere else, but we've been masking, we've been outside, we've been spread apart when we can, and we take the masks off for recorder.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I must say, the adaptability that you two have had has been wild. Yes, like we've been able to do it outside, but boy, we had to bring in a TV, we had to make movement work amongst distancing, and then so.
I mean,
Jonathan's
can you
been amazing. Running errands and getting us all the stuff we
Making
asked
it
for.
happen.
Doing what I can.
I was thinking, can you imagine literally any other like teacher professional development course for the summer being able to pivot?
Do you
like
know
that?
where we teach? Like, I came from Kentucky in the heat of summer. You're sweating just walking 2 feet from one door to another outdoor. And
From Phoenix, where it's like 115 on a cool day.
this would never have
Ew.
happened anywhere else. This
No.
outside situation.
If you were outside with a whiteboard marker and you like drew a line, would it still stay there? Or would it, like,
Melt.
And in Kentucky, you wouldn't be able to draw on it because the board would be like humid
It
and
would
wet.
just be sweating.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both. It's been as course director this year, it's been a doozy, but the two of them have made it work, and I really do appreciate both of you.
Thanks.
But you guys listening didn't come just to hear what the download is for San Diego Orff because you're thinking of joining next year. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I want to get to know you guys. Like Joshua, I've known you again since 2017, and that's just recently. But let's just get into the program notes. So Joshua, where do you teach? You said Arizona specifically.
Yes, I teach at an Episcopal Day School in Phoenix. I've just finished 7 years there.
Hey.
Taught in public school 18 years before that. Started when I was 12. So youthful looking.
Yep.
So I taught 15 years at a school that was probably about middle income level. Became an international baccalaureate school the last 5 years I was there, which was a interesting experience. I really enjoyed that.
To those who don't know, IB. What is it? What is that? What does it mean? What does it do?
So it's an organization. I think they're based out of England, and they have different programs. There's a primary years, which is elementary school where I was. There's a middle years and a high school program. High school program is pretty intense, almost like advanced placement sort of things. But the younger kids, it's very inquiry based, which lines up with ORF very well. And the kids are expected to kind of be creative and figure out different character qualities. And so I thought it was a very good match for ORF.
So have you noticed, like, teaching at IB school as opposed to another school that's really brought out more, or like it's been encouraging more to the ORF process?
Yeah, I think when we started doing all the training, I was like, oh, so you guys are going to start doing what I've been doing because of my ORF training. So
Yeah.
Have you been able to share some of your processes with general ed teachers because of that, like, overlap?
Yeah. Okay. And one of the big things is when they assess, it's not just pencil and paper. It's like you might do a play to show what you've learned, or you might put it into a song. So that was a big thing that I was kind of able to help with and prepare the kids for.
Cool. Awesome. Do you like it? Say it on record. Say it. Cool. And Betsy, so you said you teach in Kentucky.
No, I was teaching another levels course in Kentucky. So I was just there for 2 weeks for the course. I live in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., and I am currently at also an Episcopal school. And it's located right in Washington, D.C., and our population is some very wealthy, some mid-range. We offer a lot of scholarships, and our diversity is up. We are looking to have a pretty diverse group, and we do. But I did teach in a lot of different private schools before that, and then I started in public school in Fairfax County, which is a giant county just outside of D.C. I just was contacting them. They're doing a PD day, and they were letting me know there's, 250 music teachers in this one county. So it's a monster where I started. And
is that everybody elementary all the way through high school?
No, that's just the elementary.
Oh my goodness. That's hard for me to wrap my brain around as a California music teacher.
Right. It's real crowded up in DC area. There's a lot of people.
It's a great thing though.
Yeah.
It's a good problem.
It's a great problem to have.
It's a good problem. So I've been working at my St. Patrick's Episcopal Day School in Washington, D.C. I just finished 9 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and I have a team, actually, of 2 other ORF teachers. One's in the middle school, and the other one is in the lower and preschool with me, and we actually team teach one of the grades together. Wow. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. That sounds like a dream.
It didn't start out like that, but we've made some requests.
Is that common?
No.
Okay. Not even like in your area? Okay.
No, it's not common in our area at all. One of my administrators last year said, "Is it fair that you all 3 work here?" Like, no, nobody else has. I'm like, no.
You're just like, shh.
We're like, please keep us. We want to work together.
Yeah.
What brought that? Like, was it just the wisdom of the administrator bringing you in? Or
no. Should I name her? My colleague Laura Peterson, who is another ORF teacher, she's teaching levels in Denver right now. Okay. She's been there for 16 or 17 years. And when the job opened up, she called me and said, "Hey, did you sign your contract? Can you come for an interview?" And I was like, "Yep, let's go." Mm-hmm. And so then I came along, and then Alicia Knox, who taught level 1, has been taught level 1 here for a few years in San Diego. We've been friends for a long time, and our other teacher retired, and we were like, "Hey, what are your plans after China?" Because she was overseas teaching. Right. And she was planning to come back to the East Coast, and we were like, "Come work with us." And she said, "Okay." And she interviewed and there were other people applying, but
sure,
she's a great teacher, so she got the job.
That's awesome.
It is incredible.
Yeah. That's some serious synergy happening over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Crystal, you want to join my school?
I don't know. I think my principal might have something to say about that.
You know what, Rachel? No.
You come join my school, and then we'll talk.
She was at my school earlier, so whatever. That's awesome, though. That's really cool.
Yeah, I realize that's not real life, but
sure,
it's my real life for the moment, so I'm gonna enjoy it.
You soak it up. Yeah. You know what? When you get a couple of really dedicated teachers at one spot like that, though, that can bounce off of each other, magic happens. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what comes out of that. I'm sure amazing things already have.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
we're working on it.
Just to dig deeper, like, so did you both of you, like, looking back earlier, were you both thinking about being music educators, like, early on? Like, what brought you to music education? Start with you, Joshua. Yeah.
I took piano lessons as a kid. My
Classic.
dad was a musician.
What did your dad play?
He played guitar, and then he also sang in a 60s cover band in the actual 60s.
Okay.
Called High Water. Shout out to High Water fans out
They have
there.
Spotify.
That's awesome.
So I just had a lot of music growing up, sang in choir, kept doing piano all the way through, and thought I was going to be a choir director. Mm-hmm. And I graduated in December. So
Didn't we all think that?
all the jobs that were available were, they were just jobs that were kind of the leftovers. So I took a school that was K-8, had a 7th and 8th grade chorus, and then general music, and the chorus kind of drove me nuts, and the little kids were amazing.
They're fun. Yeah.
The next I finished that year, did 2 more years, and then got a job at a K-4 school where I was able to just do general music, and started taking Orff after that, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Well, we've shared a lot about like California's history with elementary music education. Where you grew up, did it have elementary music? Did you have like someone?
Yeah, I grew up in Wisconsin.
Okay.
I moved to Minnesota when I was in 5th grade, and had music all through.
Okay.
I have vague memories. I remember singing John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt in kindergarten with like a record player. And then we had an older lady who sat and played the piano, and I remember singing the Erie Canal. And then,
so like more music exposure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But we sat in our chairs. It definitely wasn't Orff. But when I went to Minnesota, had a choir teacher who was great. And then we also had an arts camp. And I think some of the teachers might have taken levels at Hamline University, which is the early Minnesota Orff course. And so I remember we had some xylophones and recorders, and so I had some exposure there. So like when I graduated from college, I was like, I know there is an Orff thing.
Yeah, you kind of had a little bit of prior. Yeah, cool. But it sounds like you were 4 or 5 years into teaching before you got back into Orff. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of spurred that?
I got a job at this new school. There were a bunch of Orff instruments in the closet, and I was like, I should figure out
what to do with
these.
those.
So I started going to the workshops. The workshops were super fun, and then that next summer I took my level 1, and it was great.
That's cool.
Changed your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it like going from Wisconsin to Arizona? Two polar opposites.
We went from Minnesota directly to Wisconsin, but the day that we left Minnesota, it was the first freeze. We got to Arizona 3 days later. And it was got out of the car at like 10 o'clock at night. It was still like 105 out.
Yep.
And it was a culture shock.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I have a friend of mine who lived in Wisconsin, then moved to Arizona for a little bit, and then COVID hit, so he moved there for a little longer. And he says, like, anyone who complains about weather, stop. Only I have the right.
It's the extremes.
Yeah. Betsy, how about you? Like, for you, like your elementary background.
Well, I was an Air Force brat, and I never settled anywhere. Like I was telling to you guys earlier, the school I've been at for 9 years is the longest I've ever been anywhere for that amount of time in my whole life. So we moved around a lot, and so my music experiences were varied. And my dad played piano and sang, and my mom sang, and like I have a lot of brothers and sisters, and we sang in the car. And I did live in Arizona for a minute. And I joined the Tucson Girls Choir, and
we fancy,
real fancy. And so then I was like, I really got into choir, and then my dad got out of the Air Force, and we moved to the DC area, Northern Virginia. And I kept singing in the choir, and I never thought I would be pursuing music as a career.
Well, that shift. Yeah.
It shifted because my high school choir director at the time was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. Who knows? When you're 17, like, who knows what you're doing?
Seriously.
And he was like, you should really consider music education. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think so. But then it stuck. And and he told me where he went to college, which was James Madison University in Virginia, which is where I attended. And that was one of the schools I was applying to. And he knew some folks or whatever, and I was like, well, maybe no voice lessons, no poor piano skill, okay piano skills. I'm like going in there like this little choir girl, to audition, and they were like, no. But then by then I was like, well, I can do it. I could do that. I actually am kind of interested. So I like signed up for all the classes, like for less credits and as an undecided major. And I just started taking all the music classes and taking voice lessons and like re-auditioned at the semester. And they were like, all right. And I just kept going. I was just kind of like proving people wrong. And then I just sort of like fell into it. I was thinking high school choir because that was where I came from. And, but we had a really good methods teacher. And he did these like cool, like he called it an Orff Kodai ensemble. And it was like a 1 credit class. And we got together and like played the xylophones and learned our solfege things and sang some songs. Then he had some local teachers come in. And then we had like chances to work with kids. And Brent Hall was also in the area still teaching. He's a big Orff teacher. So he was like the guy people would student teach with or go observe teach from our school. And then the kicker was I went to my first workshop in the DC area, and it was Angie Broker, and she was choral and Orff at the same time, and I was like, what?
That's like, allowed?
That's like everything I ever wanted, and I was like, this is amazing. And she gave us, the packet of scores that you get when you do the reading session, and I was like, we got free music? What's happening? And I was like hooked, and then I did my student teaching, and then I applied for jobs, and I happened to get a job in Fairfax County, that giant county. And the supervisor, this is really the kicker, the supervisor there at the time, she was like, our curriculum is mostly Orff based.
Okay.
You need to go take your levels. And when I was student teaching, the elementary teacher was like, you need to come to the workshops with me. Like, you got to know how to do this stuff. And I was like, okay, like, that sounds good. Yeah. So I taught a year, and then I started taking levels right after my first year. And I've been in it ever since.
That's cool.
Like hooked.
Yeah. Reminds me like Lauren, like how she was very much, this is what we need to do. You guys need to do Orff.
Yeah, she made us all go.
Yeah. And like, it's great that you had a strong leader that just pushed you in a certain direction.
Yeah. I'm really lucky. I kind of like fell into really good support. And I know that's not everywhere, but I just kind of fell backwards into it.
Yeah.
That's my story.
I love it. That's awesome. So how did you, Joshua, decide that you wanted to become a teacher educator? What led to that?
So loved Orff. I was like, how can I keep doing this for the rest of my life? And after level 1, I think my teachers had kind of talked to me and said, hey, you might be interested in kind of doing this. So the summer, took a master class after level 3, then started shadowing both in movement and the basic class. And after 3 years, my movement teacher was like, hey, I'm done next year. You can send your stuff in.
There you go. Yeah.
Get doing it. So my first year was a level 1, 2, and a 3. I was
way
over my head, but I was having a good time and, just kind of learned. Did a couple years at my home course, Arizona State, and then started teaching in New Mexico. And then got a call to say, hey, we're starting a course in San Diego. For a Phoenician to go to San Diego in July, it's like heaven on earth. So I was like, let's make this happen. So that's kind of...
Did I hear that correct? You taught level 1, 2, 3, like boom, right in there? Like your first session was
I don't think they do that anymore.
No, I think it depends on which course you
depends where you
if
get
you're a
hired.
movement or restorative teacher, it's just like...
Wow.
You got to be ready.
Jump in feet first. So
was it? I mean, I know you mentioned that your movement instructor was kind of like there was a vacancy. You filled in the vacuum, but like, what was movement something you drew towards, or was just like you filled in that role?
Yeah, no, I really, as a kid growing up, very religious. There was no like dancing. Didn't go to like high school dances or anything like that. It was a little bit like Footloose.
Yeah.
So
Bible space between you.
Yep.
Jesus was in you.
There.
Space for Jesus.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So, but then in college, I was kind of out on my own, and I was like, let's go out dancing. So I enjoyed dancing, and then when I started doing the Orff thing, I was like, you can can do all these different things, and so that really spoke to me. I think they had in mind a more like basic teacher because I had piano background and singing background and all those things, but the movement thing was the first thing that opened up, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah,
so once the leashes were let go, that's when you just went full into movement.
Oh yeah.
I think that is the one thing that that comes up in conversation when people aren't overly familiar with ORF teaching, they always ask about movement. So I wonder if we could just kind of take that tangent for a second. I want to hear from you. Why do we have an entire section of our levels that is just movement, and why is that so important?
Yeah, I think a lot of times people, they come to ORF level 1 and they're like, what? Wait, there's a movement class?
I have to dance for like a third of the day. What?
But so historically, Carl Orff started at a dance school. They were doing this brand new dance that was not ballet. It was, what we would call modern dance at the time. And they said, we can't use all the old music because it's this new dance. It just they don't go together. So they hired Orff as the music director. And so he was trying to figure out, how do I get these dancers who might not be musically trained to accompany themselves, basically accompany each other. And so that's kind of the whole basis for Orff Schulwerk. But the other thing is that in most cultures that are non-European, music and dance are together. The musicians play for the dancers, everybody's dancing. It's only kind of in the European tradition where you go sit and listen to music, which is not my favorite way to experience
totally
music, so.
Yeah.
And for kids, I remember having to to sit and listen to pieces, and you're like, okay. So it's much, you give a kid a scarf and they'll dance to a symphony, or whatever. But
1000%. So, yeah.
So in a nutshell, if you could just say one sentence, like your elevator pitch, why movement to someone who, I know you mentioned it, but just give one sentence.
Why does movement belong in an elementary music classroom?
So you can dance to music, you can create music from the dance. So sometimes we create dance without any music, and then the kids can, figure out how to sing to it, how to play to it. They can create their own music, which is Carl Orff's whole point, was the kids should create the music, the dance, the theater, all those things.
Yeah.
And I'll just add, I always say to my kids, you can't actually make any music or any sound unless you are moving. If you're still, it's silent. There has to be movement to make any kind of sound or music. So let's put it together.
Yeah.
And kids can do artistic things in their body at that age that they can't necessarily do on an instrument because of, the technical ability that they might need to be able to create this. So with their voice, with their body, they can feel that legato, the staccato, the force, the lightness.
They're a little less worried about it. They just want to do it. Their bodies want to move anyway, so let's capitalize on it.
So let them.
Yeah.
I remember just you mentioned these interconnections of staccato and such. I remember during choir, these kids were singing this piece and they were very just stiff. And I was like, guys, just think about dabbing. Remember dabbing in class, and then the vocals just changed entirely. So no, I get you there. Yeah, the interconnections between the movement into the instrument or the voice.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I remember I was a big band nerd in high school, and I remember I know. Right here. I remember the first time that I tried out for drum major, and I got in front of the band for the first time to conduct, and it was just a different experience, just full body chills, letting the music hit me while I'm moving. It was life-changing. So yeah, it's true. Why not do that earlier? I dig it. Betsy, what made you a journey into the land of teacher educator?
Oh boy. Again, I felt like it's sort of accidental. After teaching in the public school for a while, my level 2 teacher came to do a workshop in our area, and at the end of the workshop announced that there's a job opening at a school. He worked at the Key School in Annapolis, which is where, if you know of Brigida Warner, if you know some of your Orff history, she wrote a book about Orff Schulwerk and applications for the classroom, and she worked with Carl Orff, and at the institute, she was German, moved to the DC area near Annapolis, and basically started the program at the Key School. And Rick Layton was my level 2 teacher, and he and Paul Carberry have written a book about how to compose in this elemental style, a couple of books. Anyway,
which, shameless plug,
yes,
the ASM book study is going to be revising again this year because it's been so popular.
Yeah,
so,
it's great. So he was my teacher. He had the opening at a school, and the Key School is, again, a different situation than most schools because Brigida and Rick sort of built this program. So there were a lot of music teachers. The kids had music a lot. And so I applied for the job, and I wasn't going to. I was happy where I was. I was happy at my school. It was a neighborhood little school, and I was at one place, and I was like, great. And my friends were like, you got to apply for that job. Come on. Like, what are you doing? I was like, all right. So I applied and I got it. And I like really learned how to teach in this kind of way because I had a lot of opportunity and a lot of models and a lot of people to bounce. Like it was, it's been an unreal experience. Like I don't even know. But anyway, a few of those teachers, so Rick was one of them and Jackie Schrader was working there, and they were both teaching at the time, and they were sort of like, all right, are you doing it or not? I was like, oh, okay, I don't know, so I wasn't sure. And so they sort of like nudged me in that direction, and that's how it started. They just nudged me, and it took a while after, it doesn't just happen, but I went up to Minnesota and worked with Cindy Hall, and I learned a lot, and some courses started to try to run, and then they wouldn't run, and they'd ask me to do it, and then it wouldn't go through, and
Sure.
Yeah,
it's hard to get a course running, as you know, and
yeah, and keep it going,
keep it going. So I worked in a lot of different places before I sort of landed in the courses that I am now, and yeah, again, just sort of like nudged my whole time. I never was like, I'm gonna do it,
No grand epiphanies. It's like both of you. It's like
no grand epiphany. And I think really at the end of the day, I was just really lucky that where I happened to be close to, I had these really great supportive teachers that really like. At first, I was like, "There's no way I can do that. They're so amazing,
Yeah.
But then to have them like say, "Keep going. We're gonna need something. We're gonna need somebody to do it. So let's keep going." I was like, "All right."
Yeah, I think in ORF you need to be willing to take risks, both with the students, with your teaching,
1,000%.
with trying new things, with asking kids to make weird shapes with their body, all of that. So, I think there's definitely a kind of person that gravitates towards the ORF process as a teacher. I think there's students that also gravitate towards that, and I think also what you're saying about like being able to bounce ideas off. You take ORF levels, that's 6 weeks, and it really sets the foundation, but then there's so much more to learn. So through teaching levels, through talking with other people, that ability to like bounce ideas, say, hey, what do you think? Do you think this is a good idea? Try it out. Getting ideas from your kids as you teach things, try things, figuring out what works. Sometimes my students have the best idea, and I'm like, oh,
The students have the
we're
best.
gonna go with that.
Yeah, and the more you do that, the more, I don't know, I feel like the passion for the work, you're like, yeah, it works. It's great. It's amazing. I'm still surprised by it. And I think that sort of feeds the teacher educator part of me of like, I don't love when people misunderstand what it is, or they have this wrong like vibe of what it is. And I'm like, it's really, it's helpful and it's great. And you should really at least know a little bit about it before you say anything. Yeah.
What's a vibe that you often hear people misconceive?
Yeah, I was curious about that too. Say more words.
Just,
names. We want names also.
No.
We're going to call them.
I mean,
It's not been the first time.
Jonathan will show up at their house.
I will.
I don't know. I think part of it is like an attitude of maybe the higher ed, or thinking that like high school's where it's at, and upper grades and like the big ensembles is where it's at. And those ensembles are amazing, but there's so much you can do. There's so much good work happening with the younger kids that's helping support all of those kinds of ensembles eventually. And so like when I have people come in thinking like, it's just elementary, like it's that vibe that I want to like dispel. And like, there's so much.
Where do you think it starts, dude?
I know, like there's so much these kids can do. It's awesome. One time we were having an open house, and these families are coming in and asking about the music program, and they're like, but when do you do the real music? And I'm like, tell me more, like the trumpets and stuff. And I'm like, the real I was just like, I don't know how to answer you, because we're doing real music from the start. That's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
Right away, active music making.
And the great thing is that at each level, everything you teach them, you let the kids create. They're learning one sound of the beat, two sounds of the beat.
Yeah.
They get to create something using that. They're playing the drums. They get to see, how can you make sound on the drum if you just touch it with a finger? What does that sound like? If you hit on the sides.
Yeah.
So that they learn to experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of that TE thing is helping teachers a little bit let go of some of the control and the prescription of.
Sure.
I mean, I tell my participants all the time, we teach how we were taught.
Yes.
And so if you're taught to like look at the first note and read the first note and keep on going, and if you make a mistake, start over, and skill and drill and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what? I didn't really have any of that. I had like such a weird, disparate music upbringing, and so anyway, I'm like, there's a lot of other ways you can do it that are more fun.
Well, and like we've said before, are we preparing them for our past or their future? Right?
Yeah. That's great.
And my thing is, though, like everything you said, I fully agree. But as you mentioned earlier, the people who enter ORF levels are people who are already curious enough for it. What is
or who were just ordered to show up.
I know, sometimes,
Because that was me.
Sometimes,
That's true. Yeah. Lauren did a great job.
Nothing I love better than to convert a band teacher. I love it.
But how do we change the perception of, and this is a bigger question, maybe we don't have an answer at the end of this podcast, but like, how do we change the perception of that parent of the general populace?
What you're talking about is advocacy.
Yes.
Right? Because when you have all these people that have absolutely no idea what we really do, how do you put that into words that they can understand? The muggles, as Michelle Marie likes to say. Hi, teaching with ORF.
Oh my goodness.
I like to do informances so that the parents come in. They play instruments with the kids. They dance with kids.
Oh, you make them participate.
Yeah. I've done also...
do you lock the door? Make sure they don't...
Usually I have to say, okay, you can't touch your instrument yet.
There's cookies inside. No, come inside.
But a lot of them to realize, like, you're trying to play something on an instrument and sing at the same time, and they're like, oh, this is not...
challenging.
It's hard,
This isn't just kid stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I do think, like, the problem is bigger than... I think it's, like, a lot of systems that are not in place to help us advocate or to help people see that, because they're like, math stuff, they're like engineering,
right.
We don't have time for this, and
where's the data?
Right. And that's like a bigger systemic thing, like across the country. And I feel like it's a lot in Southern California. I'm like, ooh, like I'm teaching you all this stuff, and I know you have so many limitations here, and I will tell you what I know, and good luck with the resources you have and the time. I know it's not the same.
Yeah, you've got a lot of teachers in that level that are teaching at 8 different schools. And
yes, I was like, 8? What?
That's
I'd like to have a couple of them come to our podcast and chat.
We will unpack that further, because and that's the crazy thing about being a music teacher too, is because everybody's life is so different. So, that's the beauty of the ORF process, is it transfers anywhere. You can be an ORF teacher without any of the instruments, because ORF is not the instruments. I made somebody say that out loud this last week. Say it.
And each time you go to a new situation, you have to figure out,
to be adaptable.
Some of the things transfer over, and some of them you're like, I got to try something new.
The wildflower.
It's true.
I did something new today. I was like, you guys, I haven't done this yet. Hold on. So, we're still trying. That's the other thing I love about it, is that we're always learning new stuff and trying new things and growing. And I feel like the day I stop trying new things is the day I need to stop.
That's what art's supposed to be, though. That's what music is supposed to be.
Yeah.
I watched the most beautiful documentary that I can't recommend enough. It's called American Symphony. It's on Netflix, and it's about John Baptiste.
Oh, it's on my list.
So good.
On my list.
It's so good. But what I really... So he got nominated for his 11 Grammys at the same time his wife is going through cancer. Okay. And so that's kind of the basis for the storytelling. But what really reminded me of it, he's just broken so many barriers. And so I think that it's bigger than when do we get to the real music. It's bigger than a high school versus elementary thing. It's this whole idea that we have in the United States that there are music makers and music consumers. There's the professionals, and then there's the people who listen. And it's a communal experience, and that's total paradigm shift. And I'm just out to prove. I'm making all the neighborhood girls come over on Friday, and I'm going to teach them ukulele. And I had to tell them to a person. They're all like, "Oh, I don't play anything." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the only one who does." But we're going to fix that. If I can, if I can make an 8-year-old, if I can make an 8-year-old play, you can do this. You know,
And a big part,
but they're afraid of it. Yeah,
they're afraid.
Kids want to be perfect at things right away.
Yes.
And that's like another systemic cultural thing. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, these are grown-ups.
These are people.
I know. These are people my age. Like, these are the neighborhood mamas. We get together and trade hobbies, and everybody was all about paint night, but ukulele night's terrifying.
That is fascinating,
isn't it?
Yeah, I guess like we see things through talking about consuming whatnot. We see things through Instagram. We see things much more easily. But someone put up this quote. Oh, not quote. Someone mentioned that like music is much as more subjective art. And it's like, is it though?
No.
Is it though?
Totally disagree.
And I don't know. I'm sorry, you said something earlier that really got me. It's had to do with. Can you remind me?
John Baptiste?
A little further down.
The community,
the
moms,
the consumer. Yeah, because we always just consume and
consumers versus producers.
Producers, and like really, like we need to start from a young age that we can all create.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter if it's music or not.
No,
but we all
can't.
can
It's not that we just can. It is our human right to create. To me, it's a social justice issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of that is started with recorded music. Once you could record music, it used to be if you wanted to hear music,
you had to make it.
Whoever was in the neighborhood had to play, and everybody danced to it. And everybody they played. If you go in the Appalachians or places like that, everybody did music.
Right.
But now it's like it's become this. Music is up here, we're down here. And it's only people like John Baptiste or people who have insane talent or
that vision,
privilege and things.
I think also what you said about the community is another like thing that kind of separates ORF, I think, from most of the other approaches, is that the idea is that everyone in the room is important and can do something to contribute, and it's all important, and it the work comes differentiated, right? So anybody at any level can like clap your hands to a beat, you can hold a scarf, you can hold hands and walk in a circle, or you can do the like fancy whatever decorated parts. And I feel like when I tell people, like even my kids, I'm like, I'm so excited you know what these notes are because you take piano lessons, but can you keep a beat with this group and sing your part while they do this other part, and can you create this thing? It's a different thing, and it's the community part.
It's always interesting whenever I have like students who play piano, whenever we get to the improvisation, they freak out. Because like,
same
where
with
are the
grown-ups.
notes?
Yeah.
Where are the notes?
Right.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
I remember that feeling too. Yeah. When I first joined jazz band.
Yeah.
What do we do? There's no dots telling me. Yep.
Yeah, and even we're talking about just this, like a broader issue, but even more narrow issue. I've mentioned this on the podcast several times. I have a friend of mine who was trained in the more conservatory approach, and he cannot play an instrument without notes in front of him. So he's really trying hard to unlearn that. But like, yeah.
Well, and usually it's because somebody knocked it out of us. Like I used to make up songs all the time as a kid, and then somebody made fun of it.
Most kids do,
right?
Yeah.
And then you think, like, I can only play what other people have done because mine's crap.
And also,
it probably was crap.
You got to make a lot of crap before you get to the good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, we're told that like that sounds childish. That sounds like simple.
But aren't
stupid.
you a kid?
Right.
Yeah.
When it's coming from a child, then
Okay.
yes, it will be childish.
Great.
Yeah.
Kids are awesome. Let's
Kids
go.
are the best. They are the best. They're fearless. That's
Most
what
of them. Yeah.
Yeah. They just make stuff.
I had an ORF level student who was principal clarinetist in a symphony.
Okay.
And
Wow.
Let's start
after
here.
level 1, he came and talked to me and he said, he's like, I realized that like for me to make music, I need to have 50, 60 professional musicians around me. He's like, I don't really know how to do that on my own. And he was wanting to, start a nonprofit that took music into inner city schools. And he realized, he's like, I have no idea how to do that. I mean, here's somebody who, we would think is at the top of the game musically. And he just realized like there is a big void in his education.
I'm currently figuring out a puzzle. I got a really cool phone call last year at the end of the year, and I'm working with one of our homeless schools downtown, and they have really unreliable attendance, and they don't have a music program, and they're like, we want to try it and see if it's a good fit. And I was like, well, the only thing we can do is ORF. Like, that's it. That's our option. That is what we have to do, because it doesn't matter if a kid shows up on day one or they attend all year long, or they come halfway through the year. If we do this ORF Schulwerk style, then they're going to be able to fully participate and get something beautiful out of it. Yeah.
As a school that is full of turnaround because we're an overflow school, you saying that just like, yeah, that's right. Because that's the way we survive. Because I have students constantly come in and they don't know what's up. But if we did this from an approach that, okay, we've learned theory level 1. We're now going to do theory level 2. Let's put up our books. Oh, you don't understand what's going on. That'll just throw the kid off. But if we work together communally and students help each other out.
Yeah, if this was band, sorry, you're not playing in the concert.
Yeah. You can watch from afar. You can maybe, it's allows for so much room for adaptability.
Yeah. I also took Kodai levels during the same time I was taking my ORF levels and learned a lot of wonderful things for that. But if you have a student that just comes in right in the middle of when you're teaching half note,
Yeah.
and doesn't know what a quarter note or an eighth note is, they're kind of floundering.
Yeah.
Whereas with the ORF approach, she's just like, hey, come play this tambourine until you start to get the feel of it, and then you can try those other parts. And it's not as sequential, which can have its downsides, but it also has upsides too.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you need it all. Yeah. Yeah, there has to be elements of all the different approaches, and then none of them are going to look the same when Jonathan teaches it, or I teach it, or you teach it. That's the beautiful thing about it. You have to be adaptable. Yeah.
If I can take this conversation to a hard turn, not that kind of turn, but a hard turn.
Not yet?
No. I've been thinking about this for a while. So remind me, how many years have you been to TE, Joshua?
Oh, gosh.
Probably, let's see, 12 at least.
12. And Betsy, yourself?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
mid to late 2000s.
Okay.
Cool.
I don't remember.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, as someone who is now gone from being an ORF student to now, course director, and I now feel like the old part of the olds, but definitely not. Also, and
you're not.
I know.
Baby face.
To be versus to feel are two different things. But I'm just curious, as along the way, what have you noticed as far as shifts from the students you've taught over the years?
Adult students or kids?
Adult students. No, adult students
Adult
specifically.
Students.
They keep getting younger.
I noticed that about my doctors. That's
true. But actually, so do you, I know that was a little bit facetious, but do you notice that there's a younger population that is striving to be an ORF teacher compared to when you were, or is it about the same age group?
I would say, they're just so much younger than me, so the experiences are different. I would say... It's a good question.
It is a great question. I have to really think about it. And I actually wonder if you ask this question in 5 more years, what it will be. Because I really think 2020 did a number on a lot of things. And I realize that this group that we're teaching are all or most or all have only been teaching since 2020.
Except for Krista? Yes.
Except for one, right?
Right.
Which is...
And they finished college online.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, their experience is somewhat different, but the kids they're teaching are in a different realm than when I started teaching. And I know, I've been teaching a while. When you've been teaching a while, you see the cycles and stuff swings right and left and it comes back, and you see, well, this new whatever best practice is the thing we're going to do, and you're like, well, that's what ORF does anyway, so it's fine. Right? So, but this one, I'm like, well, the isolation of it, of kids, grown-ups now, of being able to take care of themselves with a screen and a Zoom and a mute and a headphones and a hood up, and I think I'm curious how this plays out in the next few years. And right now I'm kind of we're still coming out of it, I don't know, but I'm starting to see attention spans are shorter, and wanting to do the thing is there, but the handling of the social and the whatever, it's our kids that are still, I don't know, reeling from, they don't even know what things used to be. There's no used to be, there's only their experience now, and I have this used to be, so it's this weird thing. And so these participants are dealing with the now, and they don't have the experience with kids from the before times, so I don't know, I'm curious to see how it pans out.
Yeah, I think they're definitely more tech savvy. We're able to. I haven't had to explain to anybody how to use Google Classroom or anything like that.
Have you seen Mr. Keen's YouTube channel?
Dude,
no.
Look it up.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I was blown away.
Yeah.
Shout out, Aaron. You're amazing, and I love you.
And we'll have you on.
He said he's addicted to Canva, so he has to give us some awesome lessons.
No, seriously though, look up Mr. Keen on YouTube. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, they are. They're totally tech savvy.
But I wonder how sometimes if that becomes a crutch, and that's there's things we had to really adapt to just teaching outdoors, and tech was something we kind of had to bring out. It didn't always work the way we were used to.
Work.
And I think with going through COVID and all those things, we learned to be adaptable and to just I've got kids in desks 6 feet apart with masks on. They're not allowed to touch instruments. They're not allowed to get out of their little bubble. What can we do? And so we really had to come up with
Right. Now that we're out of it, I find like hardest things with the kids at my school is the working together and creating together and listening to each other. That's the skill that's like, well, I can't get there until they know how to be with a person and be with other people. And that's the thing that's, I think.
And that's such a skill, not only in music, but in life.
Everywhere.
In life in general,
Yeah. That's all of these things. And that's where I tend to go with the advocacy piece. Like when I'm trying to talk to parents, I talk about 21st century skills, you know, like we're talking about creativity, flexibility, adaptability. These are things that you have to be anywhere. Yeah. The ability to improvise and think creatively. That doesn't mean like your kid's going to be a professional xylophone player. Like that's not the goal here.
I mean, don't you want to though?
I mean, that'd be pretty badass. I'd be okay with it. Yeah.
I've mentioned this before on podcasts, but like I remember specifically, this is pre-COVID, the kid like was saying why this is important. You know, it's like I'm not going to become a musician. It's like yeah, but also when you take math, it's not because you're aiming to be a mathematician. You're not aiming to be an engineer.
Not
There's more to it.
Be a novelist, you know, but you're taking writing.
Yeah, creating those connections in the brain and figuring out all these different life skills.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, as you get older, you're going to figure out how it does relate. You're going to, hopefully, I mean, if you're thinking about it. And at the end of the day, like, I just want you to work with these other people for a minute and see what you can do.
Yeah.
Can you do some things together?
Yep. Yeah, I decided this year that I needed to start saying that out loud more because I know that, but they don't know that. And I get kids all the time, especially when I haven't raised them. You know, I haven't had them for 7 years and they come in as a 6th grader and they're like, you want me to do what? You know, and then, and you have to break it down for them and be like, look, this is not the goal here. I know we're not going to be winning any Grammys, but.
Or we could.
I mean, we could. I mean, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Shout me on your acceptance speech.
Seriously.
Mrs. Pridmore, Chula Vista. But you're right. It's about getting to know each other, talking to each other, bouncing creative ideas off of each other. My art teacher started letting the 6th graders bring their devices and just leave them on the desk because she found that they felt safer and were more able to engage just with the closed Chromebook on their desk. Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
I know.
Yeah, and I also feel like the one of the coolest things about the ORF approach is the having the student voice involved. And so like even if they're like, ugh, why? But you're like, all right, we're going to put your name and that's going to be the, you know, the building block for this thing. And okay, let's put your name. And then even that like gets sometimes, not always, but or like, tell me your favorite video games. Those are, you know, like, let's do some moves from like, let's turn that into a movement ostinato. And then they're like, wait, what? Video games? Okay.
Embrace the Fortnite moves. Yeah,
let's go. Like, let's put it in there somewhere and turn it into something else that comes from them. And I feel like that's something unique about this approach that I keep coming back to is like, we can get anybody if we can like find what's interesting to them and
find that entry
use it
point.
to make a thing.
And just the ability to create beautiful art that did not exist 5 or 10 minutes ago.
Because of you kid. You kids made that.
We had a moment today during recorder class in ORF levels, and we used a haiku, you know, made some vocal sounds to it, and then we transferred it to recorders. Then I said, okay, how else can you use these sounds? And I think they like surprised themselves, and there was this moment where they were like, "Whoa, we just did something really cool," and it sounded great. And
for you to say, "No one, I've never ever heard that before. You are the only people who have ever done that or could have ever done that." Like that's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
And to have 2 or 3 groups, and each one is completely different. Started with the same thing, but it just branches out.
That's the beautiful thing about being a part of a levels course too, which is why you should come to Chula Vista to do levels next year, listeners.
Just saying.
This has been an amazing conversation. We've gone several different places, but I feel like we need to put a nice little bow on it. So what do you think?
For sure. And
any closing remarks?
Yeah, like, do you have anything you'd like to share to people either thinking about being a part of an ORF level, or someone thinking about becoming a TE?
Yeah, I'd say join your local chapter. Go to every workshop you can. Jump in and participate. Try all the things.
And like watch people and like the people that are making it happen for you, like figure out what it is they're doing and try to do that thing. Or if you don't know what they're doing, go ask them. Or if you don't know what they're doing, go learn from them or learn from people like them and keep going.
Yeah,
Just
try the things they're doing first, and then use that same technique with something else, and then try
imitate it, and then make it your own. It's like how we learn. Hey,
Yes.
Yeah.
imitate, explore, create. Let's go.
Yes.
And like from my experience, I'm like most of us. We're pretty cool people. If you approach us, we're gonna respond in a very nice, happy smile.
Yeah, the people doing this are passionate, and they want more people to do it. So
Yes, it's true.
ask away.
Yeah, it's a good time.
It is a good time.
That didn't sound creepy at all.
Join us. One of us. One of us.
Betsy, Joshua, thank you so much. We're gonna have more after the break.
I want to take a quick break and thank my husband Bryan, who's been working behind the scenes producing these episodes every week on all of the platforms and on time. But you need to know that he is first a financial planner for Mission Trails Financial. Mission Trails Financial is a partner that seeks to guide clients in the journey to financial success. They believe that people need a financial advisor that aims to provide strategies for success. Mission Trails Financial helps people navigate investments, tax planning, and insurance. Imagine working with an advisor who isn't tied to specific brands. Mission Trails Financial has a fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interests of their clients by providing independent, objective advice. Their mission is to help clients accomplish their financial goals. As Joe Vitale once said, a goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. Do yourself a favor and set up a time to chat with Mission Trails Financial. Visit www.missiontrailsfinancial.com or call 619-419-0238 to schedule a call. You'll be glad you did. We believe that leaning on professionals is how we get ahead. Check out the program notes for more information.
Thank you so much, everyone who's been following us for the past 95 episodes. We're in episode 94, but plus 0. And we got
There is an
maths.
episode 0.
Oh, I listened to 0.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, good.
Thank you all so much. It's been a great journey so far. It's been documented for so long, and it's woo. But you know what? This community has grown because of people who have clicked that like button.
Because of you.
So please make sure that the Spotify and Apple Podcast gods deliver this to the right people by leaving us a review, because we haven't gotten a review in a while.
Minute.
And I'm
Shoot us
kind
some
of
love, people.
Shoot us some love. And also, if you can, shoot us some love through Patreon. We have patreon.com/chclassroom. And
Send us $5 a month.
Exactly.
We'd appreciate it.
Or more. Who's
More.
Who's going to hurt?
Or
you know?
more. Yeah, if you send more, you get stuff.
Exactly, because
Yes.
the thing is, like, we love doing this, but this is run by 2.5 people, so
I think Bryan counts as 4 people. So
yeah, that's true. So please make sure you check that out, patreon.com/chclassroom. Leave us a bucket, but if you can't, that's okay. Just hit that like button, share it, tell your friends, tell your wife. How'd your kids?
I was wondering if you did that on
Bringing it
purpose.
back.
Quiet.
Okay. All right. So we have a segment called Spiccato,
Yes.
where we
Great.
take turns bringing things in or just sort of describing them. And I would put the thing in your hands, but it is currently soaking in OxyClean. So we
Thank goodness.
we have this neighborhood group. It's called Buy Nothing. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
Yes. We are active.
Joshua was like the founding member.
My husband lives on Buy Nothing, basically. So I got a stick horse on Buy Nothing, and I know what. And it's not just a stick horse; it is a stick unicorn.
Can
And-
you explain what a stick?
Oh my God.
I mean, maybe I do, but I just don't
You
know the name.
sweet summer child.
Don't they,
I'm the
isn't it
baby
an
here.
Olympic event? Like a hobby horse?
In Finland, there are the Finland.
This is a thing.
Hobby horse championships.
Yes.
It's a stick with a
You, like, hold
horse
it?
head.
Oh, those things. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
I'm like, how
Sorry.
did you not
It's
know
just,
this?
again, I need to associate the image with the word.
Where are you from?
San Diego, California.
I know. Like, in theory.
What's a horse? It's like, I don't live in Escondido. It's like grew up in North Park, y'all.
Stick horse.
It's
So
a
stick
stick
horse,
horse or a
okay.
stick unicorn if you want to get real specific. What
Okay.
would you do?
Well, I think it would go well with my unicorn onesie.
Absolutely.
So there is that.
That's so meta.
What would I do musically with a stick horse? Don't know why I said
Stick
that way.
unicorn.
Stick unicorn. Well, what I do is make sure students don't have a chance to hold it when they've just came back from lunch. Stabby stabs. Let's see.
We just did a song yesterday. Corre, corre, mi caballo, sabe galopar. Corre, corre, mi caballo, vamos a pasear. Good galloping and a stick unicorn make it even better. I'm sure that there's a word for unicorn in Spanish.
Yes.
I don't know if it fit in the song.
Right away, whoever's on the stick horse is the leader, and you got to follow the leader, and you got to do your different pathways. Like,
Ooh, that's a fun idea.
Or to me, that also inspires, like, what words do you think of when you think of unicorn? And we could make a thing, and then we could, like, use it to make a rhythm on the floor. And like,
Word
like maybe
chains.
rhythm sticks on the
So like magic, right?
magic,
Fluffy.
sparkle rainbow, whatever.
Fluffy unicorn
Yeah,
dancing
exactly.
on rainbows. Do you know that one?
And you could get some like rhythm sticks on the
fabulous.
stick of the horse.
Yes. Ooh,
So my brain is going.
I like it.
Like, to those who know.
Or you give the person behind the person with the stick unicorn of coconuts. I had to say it. Okay, go. Like Monty Python.
Like, if anyone knows Mario Kart
have
Double Dash, you have like the main rider, and then the person behind is doing something else. And so maybe they're doing some sort of movement, and then after the verse is over, you switch sides. And so then the galloper is on the front, and then the back person is doing a different movement, and that's your shindig. Yeah.
Do you know the classic English "Come Ride a Cock Horse"? That one. Yeah. I know. We're not going to call it a
Banbury
cock
cross?
horse, though. Yeah.
Why
Banbury
not?
cross. It's a
Why
stick
not?
horse.
Oh, those Brits. Yep.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Ride a stick horse to Banbury Cross to see a fine lady upon the white horse with rings on her fingers and bells on her toes, so she will have music wherever she goes. Yes. It's Mother Goose. It was my favorite.
It is Mother Goose.
I know Mother
It was my
Goose.
favorite when I was 4, and so I'm got a whole lesson on it for the TKers. So that's what my stick unicorn is going to be
It's
going
very-
towards first.
It's very possible I don't know that one because that one was like, censored because of words.
You could also have like
Yeah.
that makes me think you could find some poetry about horses or unicorns or whatever the thing is, and you could have little groups make up little things, and we could have the nursery rhyme be the A section, and
Yeah.
the
there
rondo
you
could
go.
be like the unmetered like poetry movement extravaganza,
Yes.
and then you have to pick a leader to ride the horse to the next group who's going to go while you do
Oh,
the thing,
cute.
right? Like
Yeah.
pass the
that.
horse to the next group.
Yes.
And of course, you can always sing, unicorns are in love with rainbows. Rainbows aren't in love at all. Sparkles, sparkles, listen to that loving call. That was written by third graders at my school.
Oh, really?
Are you serious?
Yeah, they did that.
Wow.
That was their version because,
Oh,
unicorns are in love with rainbows.
And with
I
the
like
older
that.
kids, unicorn, stick, horse, unicorn, stick. Or you can do some like mixed meter stuff and like go to town. I'm into it.
Or go to the clouds.
I like it.
If you're an alicorn, go to the clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all going through my head right now.
Yeah.
I like
We
What
got the
do
whole
you-
year planned. Let's go.
I think the question is, what can't you do with a stick unicorn?
That's true.
That is the right question.
Listeners, what are your thoughts? What
What would you do with a stick unicorn? I'll put a picture of it on the socials once it no longer looks like it should be in the trash.
Oh no. OxyClean to the rescue.
Hey.
Yeah, that color of that water is not normal. I really don't know what this thing has been through.
By nothing, where unicorns go.
Round of the week.
So, Joshua, you have a round for us.
I do have a round.
Cool.
So,
He's already done two.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
So this is a weaving based on a history of weaving, not the hand weaving, but when they started doing it mechanically. So as you hear the round, you might hear some of the sounds that you would hear in the plant. So it goes, Derry ding dong Dason, I am John Cheston, we weed and we woden, we weed and we woden, bim bom, bim bom, bim bom, bim bom. Derry ding dong Dason, I am John Cheston, we weed and we woden, we weed and we woden, bim bom, bim bom, bim bom, bim bom. So that's the round, and the fun thing to do then is also have them create different like kind of machine sort of things that interact with each other and do sounds in between. But we should probably
I need to
sing this
echo.
around.
It's been a while since I've done this one.
Derry ding dong Dason,
Derry ding dong Dason,
I am John Cheston,
I am John Cheston.
we weed and we woden,
We weed and we woden,
we weed and we woden,
we weed and we woden.
bim bom, bim bom,
Bim bom, bim bom,
bim
bom, bim bom.
Four
Bim
times,
bom,
4 bim boms.
bim bom.
Okay,
okay.
got it.
So I'll do a longer phrase. Derry ding dong Dason, I am John Cheston.
Derry ding dong Dason, I am John Cheston.
We weed and we woden, we weed and we woden.
We weed and we woden, we weed and we woden.
Bim bom, bim bom, bim bom, bim bom.
Bim bom, bim bom, bim bom, bim bom.
Okay.
All right.
Where's the
So, Derry ding dong Dason, I am John Cheston.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so we get the long phrase.
Are we
there.
unisoning first?
Together.
Yeah.
Yes, and then boys and girls.
Sounds good.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, okay.
Lows and highs.
There's only 3
Yeah.
sessions, so I was like, 4-part round? No.
No, let's not do that to ourselves.
You sit ready?
Yep.
Derry ding dong Dason,
I am John Cheston. We weed and we woden, we weed and we woden. Ding dong, bim bom, bim bom, bim bom.
Derry ding dong Dason,
I am John Cheston. We
Derry ding dong Dason, I am John Cheston. We weed and we woden, we weed and we woden. Bim bom,
Derry ding dong
bim bom,
Dason,
bim bom.
I am John Cheston. We
Derry
weed
ding
and
dong
we
Dason,
woden, we weed
I am
and
John
we
Cheston.
woden.
We weed and we woden, we weed and we woden. Bim bom, bim bom, bim bom, bim bom.
It's a fun one.
Bum, 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 bum.
Lots of fun sounds you can make.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good one. I remember that lesson now. Well, if anybody wants to talk to you,
Yeah.
do you have a place where they can find you?
Be it socials or email.
Yeah.
Like the questions.
Can they look you up in a place?
jblock.aosa@gmail.com.
Look at you. How about you, Betsy?
BetsyK.aosa@gmail.com.
Look at that. Well,
And
now I need to make one of those.
also, if you are curious to know more about Chula Vista's levels course, you can email me, staosalevels@gmail.com.
And if you're looking for support and resources to get your own elemental music journey off to a start, reach out to Crystal at asem.com and I will hook you up through the American Center for Elemental Music and Movement.
Yes, you will. And also, if you just want to just follow me at Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman on all the socials.
Or me at Mrs. Pridmore on Instagram, or just look me up at crystalpridmore.com.
And us at CH Classroom. And also, if you want to send us a suggestion as far as what you want us to talk about in the next season or this season, I don't know when it's published, or also regarding our Spiccato, chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com. Thank you all so much for listening. Thanks, guys, for being part of this. It's been
Thanks
really
for having
great.
us.
Been
Yeah,
great.
this has been a lot of fun. Bye.
Bye.
The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore and Jonathan Seligman. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Bryan Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to my living room. Want to get cut there?
Nerds.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
my god.
What would you do with a stick? Unicorn. What would you do with a unicorn?